How is one meant to become a YouTube sensation in this house? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I sat down in front of this bookcase and made a video. I have managed to get 2 jobs for the price of 1, so my life has been kind of hectic, trying to juggle everything and make content, and yeah, it's been a whole shebang, but I am here, I am back, and I'm ready to tier rank the Herondale Shadowhunters. So many of you loved my tier ranking of the Blackthorn Shadowhunters, even if quite a lot of you did get kind of angry about where I put Julian. So I thought it was only about time that I ranked another famous Shadowhunter family. And this time around, it's everybody's favourite angsty relative, the Herondales. So my tier ranking system for this video is how much I would protect the character from a flock of rampant killer ducks. It's the Herondales. What other tier ranking system would I do? So my system goes as follows. At number 1, I would sacrifice myself to protect them from the killer ducks. These are my favourite Herondales, the ones that I will protect with my whole heart. Coming down a level, we have I would let them use my sandwich as a distraction so we could run away. This level isn't quite sacrificing my own body, but it is sacrificing my own sandwich. Therefore, I still keep these Herondales in very high regard. Number 3 is like a bit of a mid tier, and it's I would make them use their sandwich as a distraction so we could run away from the ducks. These are Herondales I still like and I still appreciate. I just don't love them as much as to sacrifice my own sandwich or indeed my body. Number 4, I would ditch them and leave them by themselves to fight off the killer ducks. I feel like the Herondale family is one of the most likeable Shadowhunter families, and everyone's always like, I want to be a Herondale, when the answer is obviously that you want to be a Carstairs. But anyway, I digress. So I feel like there's only one Herondale I really hate, who you will find out in the course of this video. So this level isn't really as much dislike, just kind of mildly annoy. These Herondales mildly infuriate me. And number 5, I would push these Herondales into the killer ducks themselves to be eaten alive. That doesn't need much explanation, does it? Okay, top tier Herondales. Herondales in which I would sacrifice myself in order to protect them from this flock of killer ducks. Drumroll please. Number 1, we have the Queen, Cecily Herondale, of course. Cecily is quite possibly the most underrated Shadowhunter character and definitely the most underrated Herondale. She hunted down her brother when he just ditched her with no explanation, and he told her to leave and she didn't. She refused and she stood her ground. She jumped on Benedict Lightwood when he was a humongous demonic worm with 0 Shadowhunter training. She was the first person to go through a portal ever in the history of portals. She rated Gabriel's kissing technique, come on. And don't even get me started on her relationship with Anna and how she helped Anna become her true authentic self. Oh my god, she's so great. Cecily is a complete and utter queen, and I would happily sacrifice myself for her. Although let's be honest, she could definitely hold off this flock of killer dogs on her own. And joining Cecily up here in my top tier ranking is of course Curte Herondale. I've said this on my channel many times, but Curte is literally my favourite male Herondale. He is absolutely hilarious, and I loved his story arc so much of being the lost Herondale, falling in love with Ty, every single thing that this boy did in the Dark Artifices. It was just amazing. And then his relationship with Jem, Tessa and Mina just warms my heart. You cannot say you did not read those final 2 stories of Ghosts of the Shadow Market and not just blubber, because I was a complete mess. Like, Curte Herondale has my whole entire heart, and I will take 0 slander against my son. Of course I would sacrifice myself for him. Coming down a level 2, I would let them use my sandwich as a distraction so we could run away, and I have put the horniest Herondale king himself, James, in this category. Oh, the fandom really underestimated James Herondale. We all thought he was dopey and not as cool as his dad, but James showed up in Chain of Iron. He's hands down the horniest Herondale I've ever met. Did you read the Whispering Room scene from his perspective? My god. And when he decorated his Aunt Cordelia's house with all these tiny details that he knew she would know, love and appreciate, and at the same time he was still convinced that he wasn't in love with her. I think every single person in the fandom owes James an apology for severely underestimating him. The only reason he's not in my top tier is because he cannot fucking communicate to save his life, and it drives me around the bend. Tier number 3, I would make them use their sandwich as a distraction so so we could run away. So my first Herondale for this section is Will. I feel like I'm gonna get a lot of hate on this one, and I love Will, I really do, but he was such a dick to Tessa pre finding out about the curse, and I just can't get over that. Many of you know that I always preferred Jem to Will anyway. I always thought Jem and Tessa's relationship as friends to lovers was a lot more realistic and paralleled what love is like in real life than Will and Tessa's like angsty book character, I'm gonna lay down my life, like dramatic stuff. That felt very YA to me, and I feel like Jem and Tessa's relationship emulated relationships in real life a whole lot more. Anyway, I digress. This is not about Wessa and Jessup, because we all know that Her and Greystairs is the superior ship, so I am aware that my opinion on Will is very unpopular, but this is my channel, I can say what I want, so stuff it. That being said, I do think Will is a very funny character, and I think when he does realise that the curse is fake, so like the rest of Clockwork Princess, Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, I think he's really funny. I think he's a great character. He is obviously the original DILF, and I do think he becomes a lot better person post curse realisation, but I still do think I prefer his offspring. Sorry. Is there room for a few more Herondales in this section? I think there is. Let's throw Jace Herondale in there as well. Jace Herondale, where do I even begin? Jace was the first Herondale I ever read about when I first read the Mortal Instruments, and I think he is the Marmite character of the whole saga. His and Clary's relationship was the blueprint for all angsty YA relationships, and as problematic as it was, you cannot say it didn't pave the way for all other YA books thereafter. In my opinion, the Dark Artifice's Jace is so much better than the Mortal Instruments Jace, but I do think he also has his moments in TMI as well. I especially love his relationship with Simon, and my god, is he whipped by Clary. We love to see it. I also love his relationship with his found family, the Lightwoods, although I would argue that Jace and Alec are my least favourite Parabarty pairing in the whole series. However, Jace will always have a special place in my heart for being the OG Herondale that I read about, and for making my Queen Clary Fairchild so goddamn happy. Is there room for one more? I think there is. Ella Herondale. So if you remember, Ella Herondale was Will and Cecily's late older sister. I know technically she wasn't actually in the Infernal Devices, but I do admire that she did try to fight Marbus the Demon and protect her younger brother Will. We stand a protective older sister. R.I.P. Ella. Moving down to the fourth tier, and like I said, these aren't Herondales that I dislike, these are more Herondales that mildly irritate me. So who are the Herondales that I would ditch and leave them alone to fight this flock of killer ducks? I'm sorry to say it, but Lucie. I loved Lucie so much in Chain of Gold, but she annoyed me to no end in Chain of Iron. I spent the majority of my Chain of Gold analysis series ranting about how underrated Lucie Herondale was as a character and hoping that she would continue to kick ass in Chain of Iron. But after reading Chain of Iron, I honestly don't love her at all. I've got a feeling that Cassie intentionally made Lucie very immature compared to Cordelia and the rest of the Merry Thieves to sort of show what happens when a sibling feels underappreciated and what this can cause. But that didn't make it any easier to see Lucie make mistake after mistake in Chain of Iron and completely ignore all the advice from her friends, her family, and even Cordelia, her apparent promised Parabarty. A lot of people commented under my Chain of Iron reading vlog that they think a lot of people are giving Lucie too much stick for what she did in Chain of Iron because she is only 16, and they think that a male character wouldn't get as much stick as her, but I'm gonna wholeheartedly disagree with that. One, I have no problem calling out shit behaviour from male characters as well. I literally just said that about pre-curse Will Herondale, and he was around Lucie's age in the Infernal Devices as well. And two, Tessa was also 16 in the Infernal Devices, and yes, her, Jem and Will did go against the Clave and do their own thing, but Lucie just takes it a step too far, and she just has no regard for anyone else but herself. It's like, I loved Lucie in Chain of Gold. She was one of my favourite characters. I just did not like what Cassie did with her in Chain of Iron. I don't know what you guys think. I'd love to know. In with Lucie Herondale in this category is Edmund Herondale. So Edmund is the reason all of these Herondales I'm ranking, bar Kit, even exist. If you haven't read his short story in the Bane Chronicles, I would highly recommend it. It is a good time. So Edmund didn't really do a lot, but I don't think it was fair that the Clave punished him for falling in love with a mundane by stripping his marks. Like, talk about harsh feedback. To be honest, the only reason he's not in the last tier is because he gave us Cecily in his offspring, and if I push him into the flock of ducks to be eaten, then he won't be able to procreate. So, who is the Herondale that I am straight pushing into this flock of killer ducks to be eaten? It's obviously Stephen Herondale. I get chills when I think about how this kid had the audacity to join the circle and fight against the same kind of people that one of his great ancestors was. I always remember that line in the Bane Chronicles when Jocelyn goes to Magnus's apartment to ask Magnus to put protection on baby Clary Fairchild. Tessa is there with Magnus and Tessa looks Jocelyn dead in the eye and says that Jocelyn and her friends in the circle are the reason the current Herondale line, the line that Will and Tessa so lovingly parented, came to an end. I just get chills when I think about that line. Again, if you haven't read the Bane Chronicles, I really recommend it. In particular, the last stand of the New York Institute story, which is all about the circle and all the horrendous stuff they did. I honestly think you should read this story if you're going to reread the Mortal Instruments. It puts so much into context. It's just horrible, and it just shows you how much of a dick Stephen Herondale was for even joining a group that had these morals and had these thoughts about downworlders, despite Tessa being a downworlder herself and Tessa being related to Stephen. So yes, sorry ducks, but today you are going to be snacking on Stephen Herondale's body. So that's the end of my ranking video. I don't think I've missed any Herondales. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I can already hear the steam coming out of your ears from where I put Will in my ranking. Like the video if you've enjoyed it. Even if you don't agree with all my choices, please don't be that dick. And remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, you can also join my chaotic ass over on Instagram, where I make very stupid reels and keep you guys up to date with what I'm currently reading and writing at the moment. Until next time, and remember, never trust a duck.